the conundrum, the problem that Habakkuk now is faced with. His theology, what he knows about God, what he knows about God's promises and purposes. So he expresses in verse 12, he understands the eternal nature of God and the holiness of God, my Holy One. He acknowledges who God is, and he is in fear and reverence, respect of who God is. He appeals, I would suggest, in the middle of this verse to the covenant that God has made with Israel, when he says, "We shall not die," looking back to the covenant made to Abraham, then ratified to Isaac and Jacob, to certified in both Isaiah and Jeremiah, that God has a plan and a purpose for Israel, and the fact that the Jews are still there today, still around, still and back in the land is a testament to the fact that they shall not die. God has made with them an everlasting covenant. Whereas in Reformed theology, the thought is that God is finished with Israel. We have replaced Israel. We are spiritual Israel. But in dispensational theology, we would see that God made promises, and that prophecy is to be taken literally, and that God has a future for Israel. Now, having said that about prophetic writing and taking it literally, we understand that apocalyptic literature is very poetic. And so it's not like reading the epistle to the Ephesians or Philippians. It's couched in poetic language with imagery. But we still take it literally. We understand what imagery is. If I said to you it's raining cats and dogs, you would understand that, it's pouring out. You wouldn't go out looking and worried about stepping in a poodle. You would understand that there's a torrent. Rain is pouring down. And so there is imagery here in these verses. And so he understands, too, from other Old Testament writings, again in verse 12, that the Lord has appointed them for judgment. God is going to deal with them. You read Jeremiah 51:52, the judgments against Babylon. You read Isaiah 13:14, the judgments against Babylon. And so Habakkuk knew his scripture, and he understood that God was going to deal with them. He's marked them for correction. And so his problem is, and expressed so well in verse 13, "Your pure eyes and behold evil." How can you look at these people who are more wicked? The first 4 verses he described what he saw around him, but he expresses the fact that these people are worse than we are. These people are so bad. How can you possibly use them? You're too holy to hold evil. He acknowledges the holiness of God. The word holy has the idea of other, separate from. And God is other than us. We have a sinful nature. God is without sin. He cannot lie. And so Habakkuk acknowledges this, that God is pure and holy. He can't even look on wickedness. And so his problem is, why do you look on those who deal treacherously? How can you use these people? How is it you can't respond or don't respond when the wicked devour those who are more righteous than them? Now, Habakkuk is talking about them positionally as Jewish people. We've seen that their lifestyle, their religion, their idolatry, everything was against the Lord. But still, they're God's covenant people, and Habakkuk just can't understand why God would do that and how God could allow these things to happen. And perhaps that's true in our lives to some extent, when we know something about the character of God. Why is it that certain things are allowed to go on in this world? Why is it that Christians have to suffer? And often evil and wickedness seems to triumph the day.